So picture this. In one of the world's most fiercely patriarchal societies, a group of women decide to start their own council, a Khwendo Jirga. But is it a full-blown revolution, or is it something else? In this explainer, we're going to break down the incredible research on how this group survives and what its real impact actually is. Okay, so the source for this is a critical academic study, and that means we're not just looking at a simple feel-good success story. Nope, we're getting into the weeds, examining the Khwendo Jirga as a small local initiative that's fighting for every inch of space within these incredibly strong patriarchal boundaries. So let's be really clear about our approach here. We're treating the Khwendo Jirga as a case study. We're going to explore its real, on-the-ground strategies, and, just as importantly, its limits. This isn't about finding a magic bullet that solves everything overnight. Now, to really get what the Khwendo Jirga is doing, you first have to understand what it's up against. And here's where it gets really interesting. The research shows their biggest fight isn't actually against those famous male councils, the Jirgas. It's against something way deeper, something that's everywhere. This slide just lays it out perfectly. A lot of people think these women are fighting a formal, organized system of male Jirgas, but the reality? That formal system was banned in Swat over 100 years ago. The real power of patriarchy, the real struggle, is in navigating all the informal, unwritten rules. So what does that actually look like on a daily basis? Well, it's in the decisions made behind closed doors in the family. It's the crushing weight of what the community expects from you. It's woven into the customs around marriage, who gets what inheritance, and these powerful local ideas about honor. This is the complex web the Khwendo Jirga has to work in every single day. So, how did this whole thing even get started? Well, the Khwendo Jirga didn't pop up as some big rival institution. It was born out of sheer necessity. It was an informal support circle created for one simple reason. Women had absolutely nowhere else to go. And this quote, this quote from the founder, Tabassum Adnan, it just captures the exact moment it began. A young woman died after a horrific acid attack, and the established male councils did nothing. They were silent. And it was that failure, that silence, that sparked the need for a space where women's suffering could finally be heard. So after all that, what did the research actually find? What is the Jirga's real impact? The main takeaway is right there in the title. Their work is all about negotiation within the system, not a total transformation of the system. Let's break down what that means. Okay, first thing to note, the Jirga works on a micro level. It's a place for women to bring their personal, everyday problems. The goal isn't to tear down the whole structure of society, but to find workable solutions for individual women within the existing family and community rules. And believe me, the kinds of cases they handle are deeply personal and often life or death. We're talking about everything from inheritance and dowry disputes to domestic violence, forced marriages, and even the horrific practice of swara, where girls are literally traded to settle family feuds. This is real grassroots work. And that leads us straight into the second big theme, which is about the style of their activism. This isn't about loud protests and direct confrontation. Instead, the research describes their power, their agency, as this really careful, constrained, and relational kind of negotiation. So here's the key concept, negotiated agency. It might sound a bit academic, but the idea is simple. The women of the Jirga use the tools available to them, tools that are seen as culturally acceptable, things like persuasion, their personal reputation, their social networks, to get these small but crucial wins. They're working inside the system to try and bend it, not break it. So how does the system react to this? Well, you can tell a lot about a structure by how it responds to being pushed. And the intense backlash the Jirga gets actually shows us the very clear limits of what's possible. The resistance they face isn't a sign they're failing, it's a measure of just how rigid the patriarchy really is. And that resistance is no joke. I mean, just read this quote from opposing male Jirga members. There are also reports of religious fatwas being issued against them. This shows the incredible danger they're in. Just creating a small space for women to talk is seen as a radical threat that has to be shut down. The fourth finding points to a really crucial limitation. The community's support is conditional. So a family might be super grateful when the Jirga helps them win back their inheritance. But that gratitude doesn't just magically transform into a broad belief in gender equality. It's transactional, not ideological. And this leads to what might be one of the single most important insights from the research. External groups can only do so much. In SWAT, it's the family unit itself, not the government, not NGOs, not even a jirga, that is the main gatekeeper of a woman's freedom and power. If things don't change inside the family, there's a hard ceiling on empowerment. So finally, if you step back and look at the big picture of feminist movements, the Khwendo Jirga is best seen as a form of subtle or soft resistance. Its work is slow, it's incremental, and it's built on relationships. It's focused on symbolic wins rather than a massive revolutionary overhaul. So what do you even call a strategy like this? The research paper uses a really powerful term to describe what they're doing. It's called subversion from within. And that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? Is this a revolution? Well, based on all the evidence, the answer is no. At least not in the way we usually think of a revolution. It's something different, something way more nuanced. And this definition just nails it. The Khwendo Jirga did something brilliant. They took the name and the concept of a jirga, a powerful symbol of male authority, and they co-opted it. They used that very structure to create a space for women. They're challenging the system using its own tools. It's genius, really. Okay, so let's pull all of this together. What's the final takeaway? What is the true, lasting impact of an initiative like the Khwendo Jirga? And this, right here, is the most important thing to understand. The Jirga does not, and probably cannot, overturn the entire patriarchal system in SWAT. But, and this is a huge but, what it does do is create these small, vital pockets of space. In a world where those spaces basically don't exist for women, creating them is deeply, profoundly meaningful, even if the larger structure stays the same. And on a final note, we really have to echo the researchers' gratitude here. This entire analysis, all these insights, they were only possible because of the women who were brave enough to share their stories in the first place. So there you have it, a deep dive into a really complex and important case study. If you want to explore this topic even more, we've put a link to the full research paper down in the description. Thanks so much for joining us.